Hello everyone, this is the next video in the Culturally Indexed series where I look into the canon of a science fiction species to explore its lore based on the votes from you guys. Last time the poll swung in favour of the Star Wars squiddies, the Quarren. I will be incorporating some Legends material where it doesn't conflict with what is seen on screen, and I will try to mark out that as such when I get to it, as the majority of their development was from the expanded universe. I will also be making some speculative guesses, but if you're familiar with this series you already know all this, so let's get started. Before we look at the Quarren specifically, I should point out that they are one of the rarer instances in science fiction, in that they are a sentient species that appears to have evolved on a planet alongside a second, and for a time neither was aware of the other, according to legends. The planet is Dak, or Mon Cala, home of the Mon Calamari, who I have already covered in a prior video, so watching that may help inform you on the general aspects of their homeworld. So, biologically speaking, the Quarren are more suited for life in the depths of the oceans, whereas the Mon Calamari have a preference for shallower waters and shoreline habitats. The Quarren are truly amphibious, in that they breathe air and water with equal ease by filtering it through holes in their necks. On the back of their head they have a large sac-like organ that is probably something to do with their breathing, but that's unclear. Their eyes are pale blue and see better in the dark than their neighbouring species, and they are comfortable in depths of around 300 metres unprotected, which is beyond the standard twilight zone that light can penetrate into a water ocean. From their lower face hang 4 tentacles that they can freely move, and a small mouth with a pincer-like tusks. The flared sides of their head house their ears, and in many ways they do resemble a squid or some form of cuttlefish, but the arrow-shaped head is not there because it is hydrodynamic, considering that they are humanoid and have humanoid limbs. Speaking of which, their hands are webbed and have 3 digits, which are lined with suction cups for grasping in the slippery depths. Some members of their species have claws too, and their skin tones are usually orangey brown, but also vary from shades of pink, tan, greenish grey and purple, although rare, and mottling is common. Like most life in Star Wars, individuals of their species could be force sensitive, and they had a lifespan of almost 80 years. They also had a defensive spray of ink that they could release when threatened. Again, very squiddy. So, as mentioned, they live on Mon Cala, which is in the Mon Calamaris system in the Outer Rim. It is a binary star system of 8 planets. They can be encountered among many of the cities across its surface and under its waves, but prefer to establish their own settlements nearer the ocean floor, unlike the Mon Calamari, who remain nearer the surface. They do retain a presence in the capital city, Coral City, but the only settlement we see in the canon that is entirely their own is Quarren Town, in the depths of the Alupia Rift. This was a base built near the active volcanic vents, and also home to what seems to be the biggest business they own, Quarren Industrial. This company created a myriad of mining equipment, from individual mining droids to entire laser mining platforms for deep-sea drilling. They mined Mon Cala and supplied the raw materials for the Mon Calamari to craft their renowned vessels, for which the longest time served as the backbone of their economy. Quarren also made for shrewd business associates, tinkerers and able huntsmen or fishermen. When encountered off-world, these were the most likely positions to find a Quarren working. Because of the Mon Calamari's proximity to the surface, many interstellar species encountered them first. This, combined with a turbulent history, has resulted in a strong rivalry between the Quarren and their shared world dwellers, and it appears that life on Mon Cala is heavily weighted in the Mon Calamari's favour, dating back to their initial meeting in 4500 BBY. Much of their early history comes from legends, but there are remnants of it in the current canon. In ancient times, the Quarren were proud hunters and warriors, and the highest of these were called the Kokad warrior caste. They were responsible for the defence of Quarren settlements, where they would fend off aggressive sea life. Then, approximately 4500 BBY, the Quarren met with the Mon Calamari in the shallows of their world and immediately went to war. The Mon Calamari were far more technologically advanced than their aggressive deep-sea neighbours. Just how this war was ended is covered in the Mon Calamari's video, but they ever searched for a solution that would cause the least death. Remnants of this proud and more militant culture can be found in relics on Mon Cala, such as the ruins of the sacred arena of Salka'a, where the right of challenge can be issued, an ancient trial by combat. However, these ruins were above water, so I'm unsure if it is a Quarren legacy or a general Mon Cala event. The head of the Quarren people is referred to as their chieftain, suggesting a tribe-like culture that would go hand in hand with their combative history. Technically, by the time of the Republic, the Quarren and the Mon Cala governments were working together, with the chieftain representing his people to the Mon Cala monarchy. The sovereigns of Mon Cala are a family of Mon Calamari, to which the chieftain of the Quarren answers, and it has always been this way. This is a further example of the imbalance of power on their world, although they did have Republic representatives on the Senate. During the Clone Wars, this tension between the two Mon Cala residents created a true schism among the Quarren. One loyal faction that was content to remain with the Republic under the Mon Cala monarchy, while another formed with ideas of insurrection, under the title of the Quarren Isolation League, which was being funded by the Confederacy, the enemies of the Republic. This was spurred on by a change of leadership of Mon Cala. But when their Isolation League was beaten back during the Battle of Mon Cala, they returned to the Loyalists towards the close of the Clone Wars. However, in 19 BBY saw the founding of the Empire, and in the build-up to this, both the Quarren leadership and Mon Cala monarchy objected to the growing power of Palpatine, and voiced their concerns when he declared himself Emperor. This made Mon Cala a priority target. However, even here the historical resentment led a group of Quarren traditionalists to sabotage Mon Cala, leading to its fall to the Empire and mass enslavement of both Mon Calamari and Quarren. After the Galactic Civil War, many Quarren had had enough of Mon Cala, and despite their xenophobia and preference for isolation, many more left their homeworld and set off to find their own work. Not the first, but an increase in exodus to be sure. Living off-world has its own challenges, as they need to stay hydrated frequently, and preferred wet worlds, such as the Moon of Trask. By 34 ABY, it does seem that the Quarren and Mon Calamari may be working more hand in hand as they have a joint military, so perhaps there are changes afoot. Their technology is standard for Star Wars, in that the length of time that species have been interstellar in this universe means that the proliferation of scientific advancement has made for a smelting pot of tech. They do have some specific devices, however, such as the Underwater Turbo Sled, or UTS Pike, like a diving propeller but one that can go 50 km an hour and has twin blaster cannons. Their preferred firearm is a long-barreled blaster which can double as a spear, while the butt of the weapon is reinforced for melee attacks too. They have their own language, QUARREN'S, which they will speak whenever they can as they dislike Galactic Basic, and their names consist of two proper nouns. The clothing that we see them wear on land often seems very impractical for an ocean-dwelling species, not counting resistance armour or scavenged rebel gear and so on. The robes worn by the politicians are long, flowy and with very baggy sleeves, which would really drag in the water, but their soldiers tend to wear closer fitting gear akin to dive suits with pouches attached. Overall, the Quarren are a very proud people, and isolationist by preference. Mon Calamari thought long term and were generally optimistic, but a Quarren would consider this naive and themselves a pragmatist. The issue arises from their borderline xenophobic attitudes, arrogance and oft-traditionalist values, harkening back to a millennia before the Mon Calamari. Over the generations, many have put aside such and begun to work more closely with the Mon Calamari government, giving them a presence on the galactic stage, if even a small one. But preferential treatment is still heavily skewed towards the Mon Calamari. the more peaceable and approachable of Dax's inhabitants. So that is the Quarren. They are a divided species on a multi-species planet that is frequently at the mercy of tides they do not control. But they also don't do much to engender trust, so it's a vicious circle. So, recently the Index has been bouncing between 3 or 4 franchises because that's what I know best. But this time, I thought about stepping outside my comfort zone and tackling a new universe of science fiction. So the choices for the next Index are from the Warhammer 40k universe, which is not a happy place. So the choices are the Imperium of Man, or the Craftworld's Eldar, which are nomadic space elves. I have seen several requests for sci-fi I'm not overly familiar with, so I want to start exploring those too. This is completely new lore to me for the most part, so it's a bit of an experiment. Leave your choices over on the community tab, and until the next video, I've been Rick, and I'll see you again. Goodbye.